Yo, what's up? This is Splendid Radio on Pharcyde TV with my co-host Jeremy Scipio.
What's going on, people?
And a very special guest, very special guest drummer, Jake Najor. Is that the correct pronunciation?
Yes.
Okay, cool. It's so funny.
Got it right the first time.
You know,
sometimes people think the J is silent, but it's not. So
every time I've looked at your name since you become a guest, I see Major. I'm like Jake Major.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just think of it like that with an N. It's really easy.
Yeah. And it's and you were I was blessed to have you as a guest, man. Like your itinerary. This the thing, and it's the same way with my relationship with Jeremy. Like when I met Jeremy, I really, I hadn't heard any of his comedy or anything like that, but he was in the company of a keyboard player that we were with, the Pharcyde was working with at the time. And when he told me that he was out here doing comedy, just because of who he was with, I knew that he was at the level. Like, he was, I knew it. And I say that to say, you being referred to me by Mr. Badardo,
right.
I like, dude, he raved about you, man. He raved. He was like, no, I've got the guy. And that was because I'm looking at Mike, like when I first started dealing with Mike, it was before he started doing the Jordan Sparks stuff and all the other accolades and things that he had done. So it was kind of a big deal to me that he was raving about this drummer. And then when I started kind of going back and forth with you on text and you're telling me some of the things you've done and he was telling me some of the things, I'm like, oh, okay, Breakestra. Okay, that's same circle. Okay, he knows Dan you. Okay, yeah, same circle. Okay, I know. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard you play a lick, but I'm positive you can play the drums. I'm absolutely positive. From the people from Mike. No, if Mike put the stamp on you, it's confirmed. You know what I'm saying? It's confirmed. So with that being said, where were you the first time you heard hip hop and what was the song?
Oh, man, I'm trying to think. It had to have been, geez, man, maybe like Rapper's Delight, like in the early 80s, I want to say.
I think that's the number one answer.
Yeah. But the album that really did it for me was Raising Hell, Run DMC. That's like when I really got into hip hop. Like that album, when that came out, I was like in 4th grade, and I would listen to that tape like every day, and I just became like obsessed with it. So just since then, man, I've been into the music, So.
I don't think Run DMC gets his just due. You know what I'm saying? Because me looking at on TV, that might be before your time, but on TV was like the first cable to ever, it was a little box and everybody knew somebody who worked for on TV. So it went out of business or it got consumed because everybody had it for free because everybody knew somebody.
Oh, right.
Everybody knew. And and all you had to do at the beginning was it was like a little satellite thing, I believe, at one point, and then they elevated to cards, and then everybody knew somebody who worked it on and had the card, so you get all the channels for free. And,
right.
And so on and so. But with on TV, that was what MTV first like made its debut on. Like that was it's the very first thing that MTV was shown on.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things that I mentioned during the podcast a lot is that Run DMC was to me, you're seeing these two guys and they're rapping and they're going back and forth, and you got this cool DJ in the background and they're dressed really cool and they got the Adidas and the style, and I just felt like Run DMC gave so much hip hop culture. It's kind of like things aren't a big deal right now because we have social media. So everything's desensitized. It's like not a big deal when you see someone or you see something. But imagine no Facebook, no MySpace, no whatever people, look at. And then the only thing that you can see stuff on other than primetime television is cable TV, which cable TV at that time was just as hot as an Instagram or something, because it was the universal, you could hear the drum beat, like stuff that was going on in other countries and whatnot. But to me, Run DMC just made like a huge impact, man. Like just on the culture, on cool, on music. And then when they got with Aerosmith and they bridged that gap, it was kind of like, if I wouldn't have saw Run DMC with Aerosmith, I'm not saying that they weren't great musicians and that I wouldn't have done whatever, but when they married the rap and the rock, that was like a really big deal.
Yeah, it was very big deal. And like at the time, it kind of like revitalized Aerosmith, because they were kind of like at the like, you know, bottom end of their career, and that kind of gave them the big jolt. And then that album Pump came out like the next year, and then they were like kind of like huge again. So it really like helped them out a lot. So I thought that was kind of interesting how that worked. But
So did you ever think hip hop would be as large as it is?
yeah, I always felt like it was like going to be the next big thing, you know, just because it was so like different and unique. Because rock and roll has already been out for what, since 1950 or so. So I mean, it was like kind of like the latest kind of music that had come out, and like just all the different styles that have come out since, like with the trap and the dirty South stuff and all the other different little genres that have spawned since like the original, like the great, you know, Grandmaster.
Yeah.
We
got him froze up for a second. But you know what I'm saying? The technical difficulties, technical glitches, you know, going down.
Well, this would be a good time to tell our listeners that rock and roll was invented the early to mid 1950s. It was derived most directly from rhythm and blues music of the 1940s, which itself developed into earlier blues, bass heavy jumps, blues, boogie woogie, uptempo jazz, and swing music. So
I'll tell you another good one. So with rock and roll, you had you didn't interview me. You weren't on the interview when I interviewed Chris from Fishbone. He broke down some stuff and he was like, Little Richard was punk rock. And
really?
Oh man, but if the way
wouldn't that be the first? Was he? Because Little Richard says the first. Okay, cool.
Just speaking on political terms, totally against everything that's supposed to be whatever.
Yeah,
musician speaking on, you know, some political issues and whatnot, but you know, rock and roll was so powerful that they invented laws. So you had Chuck Berry, and man, they invented, that's how you got like sex trafficking. He wasn't pimping. He wasn't pimping, not that, but he messed with younger girls. Mm-hmm. And so he had driven some girls across a state line or some stuff like that. And they arrest you. Hey, we got him back.
I don't know what happened there. It was weird.
Oh no, it's all good. Yeah, I was just telling.
What happens from time to time, you know. The internet.
Yeah, no, I was just telling the story about Chuck Berry and how you know, rock and roll and a black person doing it was so powerful that they invented laws to mess with him, where, you know, they invented I guess it was official, like the whole sex trafficking thing, because he, you know, some 14 or 16-year-old girls, and he had drove them across the state line or something like that. And so they straight up created laws to
oh man, it's brutal.
You know what I'm saying? It was hard. But what city did you grow up in?
San Diego.
Cool. So 4th and B.
Yep, I played there a few times.
Oh wow, that was a deep cut. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, 4th.
That was a cool spot. You did the Pharcyde play there a few times?
Come on, man. A million times.
Okay.
A million times. And it was interesting because kind of like the party culture in San Diego, it's like you got to see guys, like my relationship with 4th and B was kind of like you see people that come to the show every time you come into town, and I just saw people that just like jumped from trying to be promoters to starting new businesses and just doing all this kind of stuff. But I'll say that San Diego has a very rich bar and party culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Very rich. As a matter of fact, Chuck, he played the keyboards for us the first time. What was that club that it burned down? It was on the water. It wasn't San Diego. It was like Solana Beach, maybe, or something. It was like right on the water, and it burned down.
Oh, Kane.
Yeah.
Kane.
Yeah. Dude, let me tell you how OG Chuck is. So I had never seen Chuck play the keyboards before, nothing, whatever. So this guy I knew named Bruce had connected me with Chuck. And so this is before you could email, like we weren't emailing MP3s and all this kind of stuff or whatever. And so Chuck's research for the show was just getting with all his homeboys and trying to collect as much Pharcyde music as he could and just learning songs. And so then the day of, I gave him a set list and I was like, man, if you got to improvise and just, do whatever, like don't even trip. So we're in the middle of the show and I don't know, he didn't bring his own Rhodes. We had him provide backline, but the Rhodes went out and it's like middle of the show. And like I was manager, stage manager, roadie, tech, just like every hat that I probably could wear. So the Rhodes goes out and Chuck looks at me and he's like, go to the kitchen and get some tinfoil. So during the middle of the show, he's just sitting there. The keys are out. No one's really kind of seeing what's going on. So I run to the kitchen, get some tinfoil. Chuck takes the tinfoil, pulls the fuse out, does something with the tinfoil, puts it back in.
He did some MacGyver action on it.
And he's over there, got the stuff going. So so that's my little Chuck Boogie story. You know what I'm saying? In San Diego.
Saved the day.
What was the soundtrack to your junior high school experience?
In junior high, man, I was really like in the metal, like Metallica and just the like Slayer, just like the heaviest, just like the most extreme music I could like get my hands on, because it's just an angry like teenager, you're like, you just have all that angst and testosterone, so you just want to just listen to the listen to music that's just gonna piss your parents off and just be as rebellious as possible and just fine all the time. Like I grew up in like Christian school, so anytime I could just rebel and just wear a t-shirt that was like offensive and just
you have long hair.
I never had long hair, but just
did you dye it?
Oh yeah.
Blue.
Yep. Blue. It was like I did blue, green, and like I did it blonde one time.
See, Jeremy cut me off. I was about to ask I was about to ask the question. No, not for that, but I was about to ask about the hair. I was about to get you in trouble with your girl. I was about to ask if you ever had a mullet.
I did have a mullet, actually.
Hey, we got him.
Back then, that was like cool. That was like nobody thought that was lame yet. So I was like, yeah, man, I got the short hair and the long hair on the bottom, and
so we would in like probably like black culture, we probably would have called a mullet flat top and a shag connect.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Kind of, yeah. So it's like a combination of two styles.
Right.
That's cool.
Funny.
Man.
So what was the name of your first band?
The first band was called Disengage, and it was like kind of hardcore, but like we you guys, I'm sure you guys know the band POD, right?
Yeah, they're huge.
So like at the time, you know, they hadn't blown up yet, but like we really looked up to them a lot, and like we played our first show with them, so we were kind of like, you know, we were trying to play that kind of style. I mean, we didn't really rap, but it was definitely on that kind of trying to be groovy, but like heavy at the same time, you know, like that kind of 90s like crossover thing.
POD was one of those groups that like I never heard of them, but we did a couple shows with them, and I'm like, how can a band that I've never heard of have so many people come out to see? Like they were like,
yeah,
that still kind of throws me though with different groups. Like you don't, like you can be a regional. They were larger than regional, but I'll say for the most part they were regional, like you know, San Diego-ish, you know, that kind of area. But like thousands of people would just like come out to check them, man. Like,
yeah, man. At one point, man, they were selling like millions of records, and you know, they had like big, like not. I don't know if they went number one, but they were definitely like in the top 10. So they did pretty well.
The Forerunner, the Limp Bizkit, and all those kind of cats. That's how that's kind of how I saw them.
Were they considered Christian metal?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And they definitely came from that scene for sure.
That makes all the sense in the world.
That's interesting.
Exactly. That was like a scene. That was kind of a thing back in the 90s. Like there was actually like a Christian, like metal, like punk scene, like in like SoCal and stuff. It was like, and we could fill a whole club of people. Like it wasn't a joke. Like, I mean, the club. No, the club was making money off these bands. It wasn't like we were drawing like nobody. I mean, it was like, it was a scene because it was like the kids, the parents were like, oh, well, these guys are Christian, so that's okay. Like you can go see them. They're Christian, you know? So it was like this whole thing.
That makes all this, because now seeing that they were kind of in a niche of their own, like they had their own thing. That's how they were so large. Because I couldn't understand how they were so large. Like I hadn't really heard the music, but it was just kind of like, okay, we're opening up for a band that I've never heard of before.
Yeah,
they're like a San Diego type of band, and I'm kind of like, who, but I never tripped off of like who we opened up for or anything like that. Like that wasn't the thing, but it would always fascinate me to go places and see groups that had their local following, but to see the local following that they had just so deep, like that was, that was kind of something to see.
Yeah, for sure, man. It was definitely they were one of the biggest bands around for sure, And they're still doing it, man. They still tour. They're still putting out records. I mean, they're still out there playing. So,
what was the name of your first band?
Disengage. I think that's where we got cut off.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, you was about to say.
I think that's like right where I got cut off. Yeah, it was called Disengage.
Disengage. What inspired that name?
There's a band called Youth of Today that was kind of like a hardcore punk band from like the East Coast, and they had a song called Disengage. So like that's kind of a thing a lot of bands would do like back then, is they would take like a song title or like a lyric from a song, and they would kind of get like inspiration from that, So
I got an off the kind of like an off the cuff question other than this stuff. So did you start off reading music when you were playing the drums?
No.
Can you read music now?
No.
No,
man.
the casual. That's what
I just it's all just by feel, man, you know. So I mean, I kind of wish I could, like, I could get certain gigs if I could read, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I just prefer to just like play the music and feel it instead of like reading it, you know, because sometimes if you're reading it, it kind of sounds like you're just kind of like you're going through the motion. You're not really feeling. You're like, okay, I'm just trying to get all the right parts, but no, I mean, I respect anybody that can read music and do all that, but I tried to learn, but I couldn't really do it, so I just kind of do what I've been doing. So,
Nah, that's tight. So, your senior year in high school, you're about to graduate. No more cafeteria lunch, the haven of cafeteria, you know.
Yeah.
No more social vacuum. You're probably the cool dude because you played the drums. You probably knew a little more about music than the rest of the people.
Yeah.
Well, I won't say the rest of the people, but you knew more than the average cat in high school because you played the drums and whatnot. So you're about to graduate. When you were in your senior year, what did you think your path would be after you graduated?
Music.
He just knew.
I mean, it was like, that was the plan. It was like, it was the one thing that I was like good at. I mean, I was at the time, I was just kind of starting, but it was like something where it felt natural. And I'm like, man, if I just keep doing it and keep playing and just keep learning, like, it was my passion, man. Like, I just felt like this is where I need to go with it. So just from straight out of high school, man, I started gigging professionally. So I guess, you know, I went with my gut and it was like the right move. So, just started playing a lot locally and getting gigs. And then, like eventually like started touring around the country and, just, you know, meeting different people and just playing with as many people as I could.
How'd you meet Mike?
I met Mike. I'm trying to think, where did I meet Mike? Well, he plays drums, obviously, but I met him. I think we were playing a show somewhere, and I think we like exchanged numbers or something like that. Like I had known who he was for a long time, and then we finally like met, and then we've just kind of just been friends like ever since. We've just hang out and just talk and share gigs and just whatever, man. We just become really good friends over the years, and so he's just been a really good, like, just friend and resource. Like, obviously, like, because of him, like, this is why I'm here, is because of him, you know. So he's just cool with it, man. Like, he shares like his resources. He doesn't like keep it. He's not just like, oh, well, I don't want to give anybody else anything. Like, he's just like, hey, man, I can't do it. Can you do it? You know,
he's been in some awesome bands too, man. Like
yeah.
I've heard like 3 bands that he was in. The band that he was in kind of when I met him, and then it was kind of faced with tragedy. One of the guys passed away.
Oh, right. Contra.
Yeah. Whoo, like on the cutting edge of some other stuff. Like he's always, and then I want to say the Lonely or Lucky.
Lucky Lonely. Yeah, that was a cool band too. Yeah.
The songwriting and the playing and all that kind of stuff. We man.
Yeah.
Mike is an incredible cat. And then
he's
you know, it kind of blew me back. And like I said, when I meet people for whatever reason, I just have this thing where when I meet people, they're just at the top of their game. like then for him to be the music director for Jordan Sparks, that was one that came from, you know, left. And I'm just like, dang. But I'll say that some people, if people are good people, they're just gonna rise, man. And not to say to rise to other people's standards, but they'll always be taken care of. Like, you don't have to worry about like how it's gonna come or how it's gonna, like, even like for myself in my dark, and not to get super religious or just whatever, but like even in my darkest moments, I can honestly say that the worst life has truly gotten for me is me putting my head down, and I'll put my head down, and by the time I pull it up, whatever I'm going through might not be fixed, but I'm in a direction of being better than what I was before I put my head down. So, you know, I understand that, but I also try to pay forward 2 times ahead for whatever I do. So I'm not a person that just kind of like suck your business off of life. You know what I'm saying? I believe in like, man, take care of people. Like, never, if you got people that are like loyal, team worthy people, never make them have to wonder. you never want them. You never want. One of the things I used to say when I used to you know, do my little hustle thing back in the day, you never want the fish to go to the other side of the aquarium. They may never come back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's true, man.
I can feel that with some of my relationships where you know, it's like, and I don't even take it personal, but I'll just say that you can see that, you know, you just kind of drift, and, you know, once it goes over there, it's kind of hard to reel it back, you know. It's just, you know, it just kind of happens. It's like, okay, you know, because then you like, unless when you start seeing them, like, let's be honest, you start seeing them on TV, or you just start seeing them in different environments, you're like, man, you know, I probably should have stayed closer to them, you know, and not even like in a taking advantage way, just, you know, the love is there. It's just, you know,
it's true, man.
What are your thoughts on the Kendrick album, if you listen to it?
I've listened to most of it. I think, man, a lot of it's pretty damn good. I was impressed, man. Like, it was definitely some stuff that I wasn't expecting, you know, but I'm digging it so far. I mean, I need to really like sit down and like digest it, but what I've listened to so far, man, I thought it was really good. I was impressed. You know, it's very different than everything else that's out there for sure, man. So he's definitely a visionary, and like, it'll be interesting to see how he does it live.
Right. I think that's,
you know, like, it'll be if he's gonna have a band, or I don't know how I've never seen him perform live. I don't know how if he just has a DJ or how he does.
No, well, he during the Super Bowl, he did he had the most, I would say, most grandiose role in the Super Bowl, because all the other people kind of was just, they had dope sets and set pieces or whatever. But with his, he had like a
choreography.
It was at least like 30 people at the very least, but it was probably 60.
Right.
You know, they was just stepping and doing, like, you know, his was pretty big. So I would assume that this was, you know, it being called the Big Steppers, that
it's gonna be a big setup.
But this is a very intimate album, so I actually am kind of with you. Like, how do you display that level of intimacy, but then also be grandiose at the same time?
Yeah,
I like, it's like I get new pieces of information that makes me think differently about the album, and this is one I just found out. So, you know, like that therapy voice that pops in every now and then, that's actually his, like, well, it's his fiance, but, you know, his wife or whatever. So yeah, so it makes you think differently about like what's being said. Like, in the very beginning, she was like, tell them. And I'm like, oh man, that's wow.
Right.
So yeah, that's one thing to keep. And that's just some information I just got after hearing the album. I kind of already made my opinion and threw it away.
You know, the interesting thing is that Jake, one of the questions that I would ask many musicians, and you know what, I'll ask you just another one off the cuff, just real quick. So before Kendrick's album, I kind of felt a certain way about the like secular music right now, and not a good way, because I kind of felt like there's a lot of cats out there that are making more money than people who came before them, and they have a voice, they have followers, they have social media, they have TikTok, and all this stuff, but like no one is saying anything about social issues. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing. And so no sooner than I could say that the week before Kendrick dropped his album, he did it so poignantly, because in his album, he points out social issue, but he doesn't put it in the box of a title. Like none of it has a title tied to a specific thing other than his own experience, which I think that saved him. Because when you go and you try to, pick these issues that are so large, they're so large. Like the worst thing that I heard them say about Kendrick's album was, he took a lot of heat because of the Kodak Black song, because they're like, people were just like, he did sexual, he's admitted he's done sexual, this, that, the third, or whatever. And I kind of sat back and I was like, if Kodak Black is the worst that they could throw at him, he did a good job, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely agree. Because, if that was Future and Kodak Black, they wouldn't say anything. So it's like, I think, people be missing the point of, and not even to make Kendrick deeper than what he is, but I think, that was kind of his point where he's just like, I'm not any better than these other people, even though y'all try to make me better than these people. And he might be a doper rapper, but he's saying like he got blood on his ledger like everybody else. I think that was his point. So yeah, but I agree with you though.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. So what culture of drums do you vibe with the most?
What culture of drums?
Yeah, style. Drumming. What drumming style? Funk,
soul, R&B. I mean, kind of ties into like hip hop too, because a lot of the samples and stuff is from, James Brown, and like just we could sit here all day and talk about all the different samples, So
if you had to audition, if I said right now, Jay, I'm gonna give you a residency, you ain't gotta leave the house.
Okay.
Wherever you got your kid at, you can go to a local studio near you. We're gonna do something new. I'm getting together these players.
Okay.
I need you to audition for me.
Okay.
What style of music would you play to express, to articulate to me your level of drumming?
Just saying what I was saying, like just funk, soul, hip hop.
Like,
yeah, okay. I mean, I think that's where I'm most comfortable. I mean, I can do rock and roll stuff too.
Okay.
But I think like I just don't really play that stuff that much anymore. So like I'm definitely like, I think I'm happiest if I'm playing something in the funk soul realm, like that's where I'm probably most content, and where I can do like the most stuff is like in that realm, that genre,
and that, I'll say out of all the different musicians that have played for the Pharcyde that I've, pulled from here, pulled from there, pieced together and whatever, I'll say Mike is the one guy who could he could kind of play it all. You know what I'm saying? And cool. And like really cool. And I had never kind of seen that. You know what I'm saying? That we gonna stop Jock and Mike, man.
That's all good, man.
Well, we've been on Mike.
All props to,
I miss it, man.
Speaking of which, we had we got the comment section, and we just had somebody just tune in. They wanted to ask you, Jake, how did you feel about filling in for TV on the radio?
How did I feel?
Yes.
Man, it was an honor because I had worked with them in the studio first. Like I kind of did it opposite. I had played on a couple of tracks, like I think it was the year before, and then they called me to do the KCRW thing. Yeah, it was great, man. It was like I had such a good time just because those guys are just really down to earth and just super funny, smart dude. So it was a great just hanging with those guys for a few days, rehearsing, and we did the gig. And yeah, man, I had a blast. It was like definitely one of the highlights for me in the last, of my career for sure.
And that question came from Mike. I just wanted to slide that in there before we moved on.
Oh, okay.
Since y'all brought him up, so I was like, let me just go
great guy.
drop that in there.
Nice.
Yeah, not a good guy.
He was there, man. He was at that show.
Oh wow.
I got him in because it was kind of like an invite only thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he came up and that was cool, man, that he was there to see that.
So I'm not gonna lift the brick again. I lifted every episode, but while we're off air, Jeremy, I explained to him what the monkey hustle was. So now we're gonna get into the monkey hustle part of the situation. So what's the craziest hustle that has either happened to you or somebody who you know?
Craziest hustle.
Have you lived that privilege of a life?
Man, I'm trying to
get those studio audience laughs too.
Oh man. Man, I really, gosh, I'm trying to think.
Maybe you should phone a friend.
Yeah.
I feel like
do I get a lifeline?
You've seen it happen to somebody.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, man. Like, gosh.
I'll help you out a little bit. We had a guy on, was it last week or the week before? But a guy who said there was somebody standing in front of a parking lot and they took the money for the guy to park the car.
Oh,
that's a good one, man.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even thought about that one.
Oh, wow.
Throw a little vest on and just go ahead and start collecting.
Yeah, man. There's a little hustle. There are a few things, but I don't think I should say it on the air. So I don't want to get in trouble with anybody I've worked with in the past. So we'll just keep it a mystery for now, man. Sorry. That's all
that means that's the best ones. Then that's the best ones. You can't even talk about it.
Can't even talking about it, man. I don't want to get myself in trouble. So
well, I'll say this: when you see him the next time, you let them know it was something that you said that probably would have entertained a whole bunch of people. But
you just have to use your imagination, you know.
Yeah.
I always like the one that Martin episode where they were doing on the stakeout. They were trying to find out what Tommy did for a living. And I think that's the same episode. And they were sitting outside, they like looking. And then next bro man come up, he goes, "Hey man," he said, "I'm trying to sell you some tires." And then he was like, "Man, we don't need no tires. Like, get out of here, bro." He's like, "Are you sure?" No, first he tried to sell him like a rose or something. And he said, "Nah." Then he tried to sell some tires. He said, "You sure you don't want no tires?" He was like, "Man, look, I told you I don't need no tires, man." And then he was like, I just remember the line. He goes, "Man, get out of here. I'm sick of you coming to the window." He said, "I'm out of here. Watch my dust. Watch my dust." And he look out the window and his tires are gone. He was like, "Oh man, we've been robbed." He tried to sell him back his own tires. That was my favorite monkey hustle. Speaking of monkey hustles, the promoter that the D.O. Hughley and Monique had just got finished performing on, the promoter basically told both of them at some point during the contracts that they were supposed to both. They didn't tell them they're both headlining. They both billed them as headliner. D.O. went in thinking that he was the headliner. Monique came to her surprise that she was shifted to opener, And she used her time. Yeah, Dio refused to perform if he wasn't the headliner and highest paid. So Monique went out and decided to trash him during her set. And then they both said, hey, they have their own contracts saying that they were the headliner. Do you have any take on this?
I mean, it's possible the promoter was doing some shady shit. I mean, we all know being in the business how these promoter dudes work, but you know, I don't know if she was just trying to like get in the headlines, or I mean, I don't really know the motivation, but it's possible, man. I mean, it's not out of the question that could have happened, you know.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like do you feel like it was right? First of all, do you feel like it's right for DL to refuse to perform if he wasn't the headliner? Because that's in any industry, you know, that's not exclusive to comedy. Like if you're supposed to be the headliner and next, they're like, hey, you're not the headliner. Is that like cool to do, to be like, hey, I ain't performing? Would you ever do that?
I mean, I would probably do it, anyway, just because that's just how I like. I mean, I'm like, well, I mean, I'm here, and like, people paid money to like see me. I'm like, I'm humble enough where I'm like, man, I'll just go play and just crush it. Like, who cares? Like,
right.
Follow this, like that's how I would look at it. Like, all right, well, I'll open, whatever, man. Fuck it. Like, I'll just bring it even harder and just like see what you can do, like. But I mean, obviously I'm not like at that level of like performance, but like, man, I'm always just, because I've been in those positions where it's like, oh, actually you guys are open. Like, okay, fine. Let's just play. I mean, we're not going to be like, no, we're not playing because some weird ego thing. Like, just go out and do it, man. Just show the people. I mean, they're there to, they paid money to see you, so just do a show, man. Like,
all right, got one more scenario for you, right? Okay. You're the headliner. Your contract says you're the headliner, right? The person came out, was like, hey, I was supposed to be a headliner too. Like, hey, well, sorry, contract right here. So yeah. I'm headlining, getting paid to headline, so I'm a headliner, right? So they go, fine. They go on stage, and instead of playing, they decide to trash you personally for 30 minutes. 30 minutes of trashing you. Like, yeah, I don't like your hat. I don't like your beard. Whatever. Like, you're just silly. Stupid. Right. During your set, what do? You play? Do you address it? Move on? How do you?
I would honestly just ignore it, man. Just not give it any. Me personally, I would just do my set. I mean, maybe say something, but just move on. Maybe address it in the beginning. Just be like, all right, well, anyway, moving on. I'm here to do my thing. Like, I'm not here to just be be a baby about it and just fuck it. Like,
then they come back out and they snatch the mic and go, "You ain't got the answers, Jake." I mean, you still be like, oh, it's okay.
Well, man, that might be a little different. I don't know. Man. Somebody came on stage, then different side of me might come out.
Well, I'll say, as a manager, I've been in the situation where the group has been like, you know what, we're gonna just go out and do our thing. We ain't tripping off that. You know what I'm saying? We just go out there, we do our thing, and then, they gonna have to deal with what we got going on, after the fact. Like, let them touch the stage after we, you know what I'm saying? We go out there and heat it up, and we'll deal with it like that. But I've also had conversations where I had to go to the promoter and be like, dude, are you out of your mind? Like, what? Like, what's going on? Because we've had situations where groups have come and they wanted to go on after us. So this is the whack part. So we've had groups that have come in, they weren't even on the bill, but they were just like a larger group, and they were just like, or have sold more records or just whatever. And so we're like, well, let them go. Just, whatever, we'll let them go. And like, it wasn't even this one particular group. They this wasn't even their audience. Like they were trying to get in touch with the hip hop crowd, and it didn't work. So they did it. But the whack part about it was it made our show like 30 minutes or 20 minutes because that happened. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just kind of like, dang. So in those kind of situations, it's like, okay, let's just give them Pass Me By running, and in a maybe one or two, and one or two other cuts or whatever, but just make sure the people get what they paid to come and see. But because of that situation where our time was just like kind of reduced to nothing, when that kind of comes up, it's like, well, you know what, dude, we got paid. I ain't even tripping. We go out there, we've done what we've been paid to come here and do, and we just got more time to kick it or just do whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead. Say is dang. Is there ever a situation where you've had to like put the brakes on something? Like you're like, nah, y'all not going out there.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we want to. You like,
Yeah. When the paper ain't been right, I've had to do it. And they're like, well, dude, the crowd is out there and the people. Nah, man, if you do this, it's like a woman just willing to give everything up the first moment they meet you, and thinking that they'll be able to recover from that. Once a person smells weakness, especially promoters are just like, man, promoters can be some of the coolest people, but I can honestly say in my adult education of just like business and dealing with people and whatever, I've learned so much from promoters, because they're like, they can either be the greatest people in the world, which usually the best promoters are people that come from money, not people that have they've come up on money or they know an investor or whatever. Like we've done stuff with guys they came from wealthy families, and those were the coolest dudes. Like those were the dudes that would take us out. Like there was this one promoter, I want to say his name was Fred, man. He was a dude in Colorado though, but he would make sure he would book us for like, let's say 5 dates. Every date he would follow us around and make sure that we ate at steakhouses and all kinds of ridiculous stuff. And then if we had off days, whoever wanted to snowboard, sky was the limit on that, just like every single thing. And like, I haven't met many guys like that. You know what I'm saying? I've more or less met bottom feeders who they know someone who has money. And so they've kind of gotten in over their head. And even the cats throwing festivals, they got a plug on like sponsored money, or they it's not their money, it's somebody else's, and they're trying to prove themselves. And they're just far in over their head, and they just can't recover, and they just end up being like really nasty people, because they're in something that was just really too far of a reach before they even got into it. But yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah, man, I'm Team Monique, but she went too far this time, man. You gotta, dang, that's crazy. Like, I was just like, I've been rocking with her this whole time, like through everything. Like, I'm like, man, everybody like, she wrong, she don't deserve that. I'm like, man, shoot, Monique is right, and she's fighting for all of us artists. That's what but she went way too hard. Now, once you start talking about family, what I'm saying? Like, you could have just threw a little shot, like, y'all know who the real headliner is, you know what I'm saying? That would have been like, oh, girl, you know what I'm saying? But she went too far.
She slapped the wrong person, man.
She went too far.
Yep.
Gosh, she went too far.
She slapped, and she melted down. Like I went to go and, like, someone had told me about it. So I was like, well, let me go online and search something. And when I saw her going longer than a minute about it and hopping up and down on stage and just going, I was like, oh man, she need to be going off on the promoter. She going off on the wrong cat, man. Because the promoters will do anything. Literally, they'll do anything.
And she brought his wife into it. His wife into it. I was like, this is a lot. But you know what it made me realize the real battle would be Cat Williams and Monique, because they
Yeah,
both go off on people. They both go off on. Okay, who got it?
Oh, Cat would have destroyed her.
I don't know.
No.
They beef the same way. They beef exactly the same way. They low punt. They do low blows and everything. They don't care.
But Cat is better.
He's better at it. Okay, all right.
He's better.
Hey, I bet you would break the records for the record for the most times motherfuckers said in a sentence, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Jeez. But yeah, that's a good one though. That's what I want to see.
Cool. So your favorite documentary?
Probably Standing in the Shadows of Motown. I don't know if you remember that one.
That's sounds like a good one.
It's basically it talks about all the Funk Brothers. It was all
I saw that.
but it really told the story of all the musicians that really like did all that stuff and like gave those guys like an identity. Like these were the guys and you know that did it. And like
they wrote the songs. They wrote the songs. They
songs
did everything.
They kind of got, of course, typical story. They got screwed.
No publishing, no nothing, just session musicians.
I mean, James Jamerson died like, you know, penniless. It's just sad. Like, I mean, he's like one of the greatest bass players ever. And like the guy just kind of died in like obscurity. Like, I mean, that guy should have been taken care of and like not have to worry about a thing. And like he just, you know, just it's a sad take, man, just on the industry and how the artist just continually gets screwed, but then like the big wigs just make all the money. You know, it's such a hard pill to swallow at times, you know.
Who would play you in a biopic?
Who would play me in a biopic?
I'm about to look for somebody right now.
I don't know, man.
There's nobody like you.
My girlfriend just said there's nobody like me.
Okay, dang, hold on, wait.
I don't know.
I got somebody, but I don't think he's popular enough for you guys.
Who?
It's the homie. He's a comedian. Let me see.
Oh.
His name is J. Chris Newsberg. I wish I could bring him up right now. Your wife, is she near a computer?
Yeah.
Tell her to look up J. Chris Newberg.
Did you get that?
And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like yeah. Literally,
She's looking it up right now.
You can go full Monique on me. I'll take it.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Okay.
She said okay.
She said she sees her. She's showing me right now. Let me see.
Yeah. And then
just go. I guess I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to hook it up.
Or maybe Bert Kreischer.
Bert Kreischer. Okay. Yeah.
Machine.
That's the homie too.
Guy,
okay.
Man. He's funny. He's a goofball, man. You know.
That's funny. What's the best advice someone's given you?
The best advice. I think, gosh.
never work for free.
Oh yeah, never work for free.
Oh man. Well, that's officially the best advice that someone's giving me now. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean it's.
Hey man, I tell people all the time, because the thing about it is people are always going to want more from you. So if you started off with no value at all, they'll never see value in you.
Well, you're right. They're just like, oh, this guy just does whatever. Like, it's all good. And like, nah, it's not, man. It's not how it works, dude.
I'd rather trade. Like, that's my thing. Let's just trade. Let's put some type of value on whatever it is that we're doing, but it just doesn't need to be, unless it's a family member. You know what I mean? For sure. But you know, yeah, it has to be some value, else people will never just like I was talking about the girl that
same thing, man. You know?
you'll never reverse it. You'll never reverse it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like you gotta lay it down from the beginning. Like, this is how it is. Like, and like if that's cool, that's cool. And if it's not, that's cool too, man. Like, call somebody else, because I can't do that shit for free. It just doesn't, you know, like you said, unless it's like family or if it is some kind of trade where I'm getting something out of it, yeah, that's different. But just to do something, just like, you know, like I remember like back in the day, like I kind of grew up in church, and like I would get that line, well, you know, you should play and just do it for, you know, for the love. And I'm just like, no. I'm like, what about the janitor? Like, doesn't he get paid? What about the plumber? Like, that ain't. It's like, oh, you got to use your gift. I'm like, no. That's not. No, that's not how we do things. I'm like, if you want me to play, you can pay me and I'll do it. That's cool. But I'm not doing no charity stuff. Like, I don't got the time, man.
You know, for me, I kind of look at it like this. What I do is I'll kind of balance the scales. So like if I have like corporate interest, and then I've had like a great month or something like that, and I've got like this thing going on, then I will kind of Robin Hood it. Like if someone comes along, because I do like paper printing as well as like screen printing and all that kind of stuff. So if I have like a cool corporate interest or something, and then somebody comes along and they need obituaries printed, then I'm like, well, I might do it at cost because I've had this to that, and this is, you know, that kind of thing. But I was able to do it from what my trade or my profession is or whatever, and get this little extra. And then I didn't give away the obituaries. I just kind of did them at cost because I was able to, you know, so do like that. But for whatever reason, you have to train people to see the value in your craft. You know, and it sounds, you know, horrible to say it. I feel bad saying it right now, but when people respect, when they respect your work ethic, when they respect the level of work that you give them for what you do, they're actually going to be happy to pay you. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to be like, dang, that, like for me, I'm not the cheapest screen printer or paper printer or just whatever. But if someone comes to me, they know they're going to have it. Like if they need it tomorrow, they need it the next day. I've done 2,000 shirts in a day for George Clinton before. Like literally made it like 2004. I had a gig doing shirts for them, and it was dope that I was doing them, but I was dealing with the mind of people. I won't say it was him, but I was just dealing with the mind of people, where it was just kind of like the thrill of making it happen for the funk had left. You know what I'm saying? The thrill of making it happen for the funk had left the room. You know what I'm saying? And that taught, but you know what? That was a great lesson though. That was a great lesson. And what it taught me was that I was capable of making things happen fast.
Yeah. For
someone who I really respected or whatever. And I made some money too. But like my business partner, Brown, one of the guys on the Pharcyde, he's my business partner too. He would always say to me when he saw me like pull off Jordan-esque stuff for different clients or whatever, he'd be like, man, you need to do it for yourself. Like he'd be like, it's nothing wrong with doing things for other people, but don't give them more than you give yourself. You know what I'm saying? I'll say that's some of the best advice I've been given in my life. Like, man, like it's cool to do for others, but don't do for them if you're not, you know, right. Or don't put more interest in the other people's stuff than you do your own.
That's actually a good one.
So on to the next question. The most motivational person in your life, most motivational person you've come across.
Man, I've met so many people. Like, in my lifetime, you know, like let me see.
The one that you go back to the most when you think of what they've told you.
Honestly, man, like probably Big Daddy Kane.
Wow. That was a good one.
Big deal.
Cause like anytime I talk to that dude, it's like when I was sick in the hospital, like I talked to him and stuff. And he was generally like concerned. But like other times when I talk to him, man, he just has like pearls of wisdom, man. The stuff he says and just the way, man, like the way he conducts himself with people, like he's so like smooth, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's got so much confidence in like what he does and like the way he presents himself. Like he's just, man, to be like that confident all the time, like that is kind of like it's an inspirational, like just to have that much, like I don't want to say swag, but like he just has so much.
Hey, I'm gonna say this. I love Big Daddy Kane, but I will say this. He bit a little bit of the phony baloney, but he did it for the culture. The verses with KRS-One. I love KRS-One to death.
Oh, okay.
Right. I love KRS-One to death.
Uh-huh.
But Big Daddy Kane, like, I found out later in life that Big Daddy Kane was Black Thought's favorite rapper. And when you listen to Black Thought, you can get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you have to know that knowledge first. And then when you hear him rap and he's going and he's flowing, and you listen to Big Daddy Kane's first album, and you're like, man, this dude was even if Biz Markie wrote his rhymes, or was it that Biz Markie wrote his, or he probably wrote Biz Markie's rhymes, maybe.
This is new to me.
Look it up, Jeremy.
I'm not sure on that.
One of them wrote somebody's rhyme or a song.
It's possible. I mean, I know that Biz definitely.
You know what? Big Daddy Kane wrote for Biz. That's what it was. No, that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. It sounds for Biz Markie. Yeah, he wrote for Biz Markie. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I haven't heard that. That's what I was like. I don't know. I ain't trying to.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to start nothing.
I know a little bit. I know a little bit about hip hop. Just the shot glass.
I'm about to say breaking news. Big Daddy Kane had writers. Like, oh, shoot. But you know, that is one of the things the industry is which I can feel Drake was holding back from because he's taking a lot of the beating. A lot of people have writers and wrote for other people very casually,
sure,
you know, and it just wasn't a big deal. But yeah, what you just said, I'm about to say, like, man, I'm about to see who wrote all his hits, man, because that's a good guy. But yo, you're right. He's that's the first thing popped up. Who did Big Daddy Kane write for? Biz Markie. Like, it's like a fact. So yeah, it was an actual fact. Next question. What's the most legendary moment that you witnessed?
That I witnessed or that I was like a part of?
All of it, yeah. Witnessed, part of, anything, just a legendary moment.
I think, man, I'm gonna have to say it one more time. I don't want to come off as like a but like when we played in Brooklyn at Prospect Park with Kane back in 2009, I mean, that was pretty for me, it was pretty mind-blowing. I mean, there was like almost like 10,000 people there. So to go play like where that dude's from and like basically like where hip hop started, it was pretty like Rozelle was there, and then like he had like
Rozelle.
Juice Crew dudes came out and we did like the symphony.
Sheesh.
And it was pretty amazing, man. Like I still just gotta give it up to that dude as a performer, man. He just brings it, man. Like it's a real show. It's not just like, oh, I'm gonna do my verse and then like whatever. Like, I mean, he dresses up. They do like the dance. You know, he has his dancers. Like it's like an old school like review almost.
Mhm.
You know, it's real like classic the way he does it. You know, and just the way he would just break it down, just start talking to the audience, and like everyone's just paying attention to what he has to, you know, he's like dropping some knowledge on some stuff, like on Ain't No Half Stepping. He was
Hey.
talking about, you know,
Written by Biz Markie.
what Ain't No Half Stepping?
Yeah, I said written by Biz Markie. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
No, but just like he would break stuff down, and then like he would give me little shout outs and stuff, like where I would do a drum break or whatever, just stuff like that, man.
Oh, wow.
Just like kind of special. It kind of like, to me, it still like didn't feel real at times, because like, you know, when you're a kid, you see these dudes and like you see them on MTV, and you know, you have the album, and you're just like, these dudes are like larger than life. But then to later on, like you're just like sharing the stage with them. It's just, I don't know, man. It's hard to explain, man. But it's just kind of mind blowing, you know. Like for me, anyway. Like I just, you know.
No, I get it, man. I had the pleasure being out with the Gorillas with Brown.
Nice.
I was able to meet Ike Turner and meet Bobby Womack.
Oh,
and like
that's awesome.
And I didn't have conversation really too much. Ike was kind of he was like a superstar. Like I mean, and not in a bad way, but he was a superstar. I'll say one thing with the whole Tina Turner stuff, and you know, the perception that everybody had from him, that really overshadowed the musician he was. Like I saw him like I saw him on the piano do so. And if someone goes and they look up Gorillas live at Manchester, I want to say it was the Manchester, it was at a theater, like a Manchester theater, whatever it is though. But dude, he took command of that piano. Like I've never seen that in person before. Like I've never seen somebody really do what he did to the piano. That was really amazing to me. And then second, able to get to know Bobby Womack a little bit, because Brown was performing songs with him out with Gorillas, and to just hear Bobby kind of tell some stories, and I don't believe they were fictional, but he had like Jimi Hendrix stories. He had like all these stories, and you're just sitting here and you're listening to the guy that, matter of fact, I watched 110th Street this weekend. Nice. And just to hear his take on that, like he was like, he told me that when he recorded 110th Street, he didn't really understand like movies making a whole bunch of money like that. Like he just said that music was what he knew, you know what I'm saying? So he really didn't and then he just didn't know that song and that movie would be that large. And I'm just looking at it like, man, 110th Street, that's like, you know, so much soul, you know what I'm saying? I think that not that people don't bring Bobby's name up, but when you think of Stevie Wonder, for me personally, I automatically think Donny Hathaway. And I think Donny Hathaway kind of didn't get the credit that but you know, because he passed away early and whatnot. But when I think of songwriters and stuff like that, I think of Bobby Womack and 110th Street. And I'm like, man, this guy. And I asked him, I said, what made you write that song? Like, and he's like, man, they told me the kind of song they wanted, but I gave them a song that had to do with like things that I had seen, and like it was my story, like what I saw, and I'm just totally just amazed and blown back. But anyway, this isn't the smooch.
No, that's actually really interesting. I mean, I didn't even know that Ike Turner and Bobby Womack worked with the Gorillas. That's kind of crazy, like to even think about it.
I didn't know that either.
Oh,
yeah, you dropping, man, you dropping all type of knowledge today, man. You put you said Biz Markie wrote for Big Daddy Kane, and now Ike Turner. Bobby, what else is in your gosh?
It's a shot glass of knowledge with a whole bunch of fluff.
No, seriously. I was like, we're looking it up, like what you're talking about. I'm like, oh man, this is pretty deep, because they both passed, and you know, that was like their latest work was working with the Gorillas.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that was legendary. Oh, actually, it's not on me. I want to skip.
Yeah. So, who would you like to inspire?
Just the next generation, I guess. Just, I mean, I gotta pass the torch, man, to the next. You know, I'm not gonna be playing drums forever, man. Like, there's got to be somebody else like that's gonna carry it on. You know, so whoever, like the next. Just whoever, man, whoever I can inspire. I don't know specifically, but
I'll say this is one thing that I'll say. Not knowing you from Adam, knowing the different people, the circles that you've moved around in, I'll say that you got a lot of humility, man. You have a lot of humility, and that's the legacy of your drumming. That's dope, but like people need to see the person. It's like, you know, the sitting on the throne and doing that to a crowd is dope, but then letting people see that you can do that, you can be out with Big Daddy Kane, you can, you know, all that stuff, but then you can just a decent person. Like I can just tell, like just through the conversations we have. But
yeah, I mean, I try to be, you know, I'm not perfect, man, but I try to be a good person at least, and have like some morals and values. And
we'll let the haters go in the comments and say what they really.
Yeah. I'm sure, man.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
The keyboard cowboy.
I just, you know, that was just the way I was raised, man. Just work hard and just try to be fair to everybody, and not, you know, not to be on some like religious kind of stuff, but just treat people the way you want to be treated, man. Try to be cool to people, and hopefully it comes back to you, man. I mean, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of simple.
Who's your top? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I
was going to ask, who's your top 3 musicians?
Top 3 musicians. It doesn't matter what instrument, any instrument.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Oh man, it's not going to be easy, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a lot to choose from.
I mean, Clyde Stubblefield is in there for drums, obviously, the funky drummer, you know, James Brown. Have to say Miles Davis. Just his body of work, just from, you know, from Kind of Blue to Bitches Brew to, I mean, all the stuff he's done.
He took a wah-wah to the horn, man. The Jimi Hendrix of the horn.
I mean, that stuff, like, my favorite stuff is the 70s, like after Bitches Brew.
Okay.
Like, there's an album called Live Evil.
Oh, yep. That album cover.
It's nasty. I mean, it's just nasty, dude. The music that they were playing, it was just so raw. Like, I mean, it wasn't necessarily jazz and like the tradition. I mean, they're improvising and stuff, but
fusion. That was the beginning.
They were like writing the book like on the spot. Like they were doing it right there. Like they weren't going like, oh yeah, let's do like a bitches. I mean, that was what they were doing. They weren't trying to like copy. Like they were creating it like on the spot. Like it was like nothing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably, let's see. Let's see. I'd say Donny Hathaway too, man. Just his voice and his songs. Like, I mean, he didn't put out a lot of records because he wasn't out that long. But like, I mean, I'll still listen to his records and just cry, man, because it's so real, man. Like his voice is so moving, man. Like you can tell it's so honest. Like it's not contrived at all. I mean, you could just tell the guy's just singing his heart out.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, obviously we know that he, you know, he had some issues, you know, with the schizophrenia and other things. Like, I mean, that song, what is it? Everything is Everything is called Voices Inside.
Yeah.
Kind of I mean, he's kind of addressing it.
Yeah, I never even put that together. Wow.
But yeah, like anytime I listen to his music, it's just I can't believe the voice that guy had, and then just his skills. I mean, he could rip it up on the keyboard too, and just like his, you know, everything about it. Just sad, man, that he cut it short like that, man, because I think he could have just kept doing some great music, man. He only did like 2 albums, I think.
So I'm gonna hit you with the last one. And this is one that you could help. You could really give us some insight on.
Okay.
So with everything that you've seen with the COVID stuff and all that stuff, where do you see social progression going in the next 2 years?
Where do I see it going? As far as like social justice stuff, or
no. Just social progression, like how people interacting with each other.
Like in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it kind of. I felt like, I think with COVID, man, it kind of like things kind of like went backwards a little bit as far as like, because this whole social interaction thing. Like, I don't know how it is for you, but like being around people, like, I don't know if it feels weird to just be around people again and like carrying on like we used to, like without without thinking about it, because you're just like, oh man, like this guy might have COVID, or, you know, I think a lot of people, man, it kind of made people really kind of paranoid. From what I've seen,
you know, I respect my personal space a lot more now.
Yeah. I think me as well.
I can remember when right before everything jumped off and before they shut stuff down, when I was making my Costco runs, I remember there was this guy standing behind me, and the line at Costco was probably about 50 people before I got in, and there was a guy standing behind me. And the guy starts coughing, but he didn't cover his mouth. And you would have thought that he like passed gas or something. Like people was turning around and making comments, and like,
oh yeah,
there was all kind of people saying stuff. And I was like, dang, this is just where we're at right now. This is just where we're at. So man, I appreciate everything, Jake, dude. This has been a great conversation.
I had a blast, man. Thanks for having me on. Thanks to Mike once again for.
Yeah.
I was at a party yesterday, and like he calls me and he's like, "Hey man, can you call this dude?" And I'm just like, sure. Like, okay.
Yeah, I had, you know, I'm not gonna throw him under the bus, but I had a bass player, and he's gigging right now, and so. Last week it was Cool in the Gang, and this week he was out to go with somebody else he plays with, like those kind of groups or whatever. And I hit Mike up, and I was like, oh man, Mike would be great, man. He's got a story, like, man, like that. And then Mike was just like, no, you know, I gotta do now, but dude, if this guy hits you back, I got the guy for you. And I was like, I was like, okay, well, I'm glad he put it together. What are your socials so that people can check you out?
Just it's on Twitter and Instagram. It's at the Nage. Just really simple. And then on Facebook, just Jacob Najor. You can find me on there. But yeah, just at the Nage is my with Twitter and Instagram handles.
Okay.
So
cool. So with you, Jeremy, you got anything coming up?
I'd say the June 24th and 25th, I'm headlining the Madhouse. That's 2 shows each day, so that's 4 shows total. I don't know who I'm bringing with me, but if you guys be interested in a dope show, please come out to that. Yeah, I think that's probably the most important thing. Help me pay my rent. So yeah, please come out. I ain't doing nothing for free ever again.
yeah.
So,
last
no more hookups.
Last thing, Jeremy. What advice would you give to Monique if you were her friend?
Man,
as a comedian.
Yeah, no. I mean, I ain't got no advice for her. I mean, she up there, but I mean, I would just say, you know, what it's, you know what, I stole this from Charlemagne, but he said, if you don't heal what hurt you, you'll bleed on people who didn't cut you, something like that. So, you know, I mean, there's something else probably bothering her that she needs to figure out. But truth be told, I still say I have been team Monique this whole way. I just got off at the last stop. That's all. I was like, oh, this is
she cut her brother down, man. She cut him down.
Yeah. This was I can't. I mean, it was a lot because you know, I mean, you know, the punishments that fit the crime. Mm-hmm. You know, even if he was guilty of doing what she said, it didn't deserve all that. So, you know what I mean?
For sure.
That was crazy beyond belief. She I think the craziest thing she said was she said, I don't understand how pretty much I'm gonna say the Disney version, but you know, I don't see how your wife could be comfortable going down on a coward. I'm like, why you gotta bring his wife into, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what, you know, like, you, especially you talk business, you know what I mean? This is something that happened on a business level. If it's business, keep it business. If it's personal, keep it personal. You know what I'm saying? But you crossing the line. That's all over the place. But
well,
yeah, that's it.
I'll say this closing the show off. I usually wait until tomorrow to listen to one of my favorite podcasts, but I think at about 11 o'clock, I'm going to have to hop in and hear tonight because he's going to go off. He's going to go off. I'll tell you about it, but yeah, somebody that'll speak about it, and they'll
yeah, I know you're talking about.
He gonna go off.
Oh yeah.
He gonna go off.
Yeah, well, he's also in the same boat as her as well. Yeah. Like, just, you know, and trust you me, I want to, you know, I'm down for a good old cussing out. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, make sure you got the right target. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Can't be going off on everybody. Everybody ain't playing those games. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? Don't kick the dog in the short ribs because you had a bad day, man. You need to stand up to your boss. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Sheesh.
Cool.
Yeah, sheesh.
Well, no, man. Good looking out. I thank you guys. This was a great podcast. Very informational.
Yeah,
I'll reach back out to you.